Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Jesse RHINES, and I want to welcome you once again to Loft Interviews. Today, I have a person I've known for quite a long time here, and we just went out and had a lovely, lovely lunch at the Disney Center. She loved the grill. It was Patina restaurant in the Walt Disney Center, and it was magnifique.
Yes, it was.
But this is my sister.
Hello.
And her name is?
J.R. Lankford is my writer's name, but you may call me Jamie.
Well, thank you very much. How gracious. How gracious. Okay, Jamie. So, welcome to Loft Interviews and to my lovely loft in downtown LA.
Well, thank you for asking.
So, now, tell me, since you've been here, what do you think of downtown LA?
Well, it's very interesting. It has surprisingly, it has a neighborhood feel to me, you know, and the people on the streets, the places to shop, it just feels like not what I expected. It doesn't feel like a huge downtown area.
Yeah, I know that we went over to my gym, Gold's Gym, and you were very impressed with that,
My goodness, that's got to be the best gym on the face of the earth.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about you then. You're living now in Houston, Texas, and what are you doing there?
Well, I'm writing, is what I'm doing.
Writing?
Yeah.
What are you writing?
I write novels, and this is my second career.
Okay.
So, having retired from what I did before, I now get to pursue what was my childhood dream.
And what were you doing before?
Before, I was an electrical engineer, and I worked, I was fortunate enough to have one of those wonderful international jobs you hear about, except back when the time that I got it, there were no women doing it, no minorities, you know. I worked for an international organization called the International Electrotechnical Commission, and I was appointed by the U.S. In fact, the U.S. was the first country to appoint a woman to the position I had. The U.S. had the Secretariat of a Technical Committee, and so until I went into the work, it was an all-male province. Of course, I didn't know that. I just was pursuing my passion.
Well, what did this commission do?
Well, the IEC, which is the shorthand for it, is responsible for writing world standards for electrical products. So hopefully the goal is to replace the many national standards, the U.S. standard, the Canadian standard, with an international standard so that products can be manufactured anywhere and sold anywhere, theoretically.
Mass production, that's what they want. They want to expand mass production.
Efficiency of trade, to open up trade.
Okay.
And so that's the general idea.
Okay, so you left that, and you were an electrical engineer. Where did you learn electrical engineering?
Well, I went to Howard University
in
Washington, D.C., got a BS in electrical engineering, and I went to the University of Chicago after that, and pursued an MBA in international business, and nearly finished it, but then I was there with my daughter, and I knew we needed to come back home. Books that I'm focusing on now, they've turned into a trilogy. The first one, it was called The Jesus Thief, and it came out in 2003. And the sequel to that is called The Secret Madonna, and that's getting ready to come out now, October 1.
All right.
It should be available on Amazon on October 1. Well, I explore the interface of science and religion in my book. It's the story of a scientist named Felix Rossi, who is a devout Catholic, and he is in Turin. His lifelong dream is about to come true. He will get to personally examine the Shroud of Turin, which is supposedly the burial cloth of Christ, some people believe. He steals, in a state of trauma, upset. He steals bloody threads from the Shroud of Turin, smuggles them back into New York. and sets out to try to clone Jesus of Nazareth.
Well, is this mostly a science book? Is it a mystery? Is it a love
Well,
story?
it's a thriller.
And in particular, who is the new Mary? Who is the new Mary?
Who is the new Mary?
Do you have something that you can read us that might help us understand who this new Mary is or what she thinks about?
We're giving away that in the first book. The first book is about the pregnancy, no, the process of the cloning, the pregnancy, and it ends with a birth, very dramatically. So now this is 10 years later. We meet for the first time Maggie and the clone and her son, 10-year-old boy. And this is in Arona, Italy. Mm-hmm. Okay. To the locals, it was no secret that an American woman they called La Mamma Nera, the Black Mother, lived with her son outside of town on Via Sempione. It ran along Lago Maggiore's vast and beautiful western shore. They lived in a small villa that had lain empty since the 1940s, when a Jewish couple honeymooned there, then fled, warned by the village baker that the Nazis had come. The villa had yellow stucco walls, a garden, a lake house, and a porticciolo of its own for a boat. Behind the yellow walls, Maggie Johnson worried. Opening her Bible to the Gospel of Luke, she turned to chapter 2, the only one that mentioned Jesus' childhood. She read 46 to 47. And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. All that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. At the time, Jesus was only 12. Maggie glanced down at the stack of untouched books beside her son Jess's abandoned lounge chair. Felix Rossi had sent most of them, and they were on every imaginable subject. She'd worried they might distract Jess from his synagogue studies. Instead, the volume of early prophets that Rabbi Deanna gave Jess had also been discarded after only 5 minutes this morning. From her chair on the lake house deck, Maggie watched Jess crouch, bread in his outstretched hand, luring his swan friend, King Silent, from the weeping willow's branches, which dangled in the water. She'd grown used to having the big birds everywhere. At the villa's door in the mornings, when Jess rose, waiting like emissaries to conduct him to the others on the lake, on the banks, waddling behind him as he played. They were royal mutes, native to Europe. Felix thought Jess spent too much time with them. Maggie didn't. How could a boy spend too much time with a swan?
Oh, that's beautiful. That's very nice. Well, as you do know, when I was in Spain last year and was very pleased to pick up a copy of The Jesus Thief, written in Spanish, called Sabana Santa.
That's right.
That's right. And it's been translated into other languages, right?
That's right. Well, so there are many more copies sold, outside of the U.S. than in. Huh?
Well, I think that it's about time for us to go now. So I want to thank my sister for coming to hang out with me. And I'd also like to thank you for coming and visiting us here again at Loft Interviews. And for Jamie and I want to say, see you next time. Bye, y'all.